The story of David begins on a cold winter morning. He stood in front of the towering gates of the military academy, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. This was the moment he had been waiting for. All his life, he had dreamed of becoming a soldier, just like his father. His father, a decorated veteran, had always been his hero. From a young age, David would sit at his father's feet, listening to stories of bravery, sacrifice, and brotherhood, all while looking at the old, faded pictures of his father's military days. But David knew that the path ahead was not going to be easy. He had heard tales of the brutal training, the sleepless nights, the physical and mental struggles. None of it scared him, though. It only fueled his determination. His father had prepared him well, always reminding him that being a soldier was not just about strength but about heart, courage, and endurance. As he entered the gates, David felt the cold wind bite at his skin. His boots crunched on the gravel beneath his feet, and the sound of other recruits filled the air. Nervous chatter, anxious laughter, and the stern voices of instructors calling out commands. This was it. There was no turning back now. The days started early at the academy, before the sun had a chance to rise. David and the other recruits would wake up to the loud blast of a horn at 4:30 a.m., their bodies still aching from the previous day's exercises. Their mornings began with a grueling physical routine: running, push-ups, sit-ups, and obstacle courses that seemed designed to break them. Mud, sweat, and pain became their constant companions. David's muscles burned as he pushed himself harder each day, but he refused to let himself fall behind. He remembered his father's words, "A soldier never quits," and that kept him going. The physical pain was bearable, but the mental challenges were even tougher. The instructors constantly pushed them beyond their limits, testing their endurance and focus. Sleep was scarce, and exhaustion was constant. One of the hardest moments for David was a simulation where they had to stay awake for 48 hours straight, responding to emergencies and making split-second decisions. By the end of it, David's body felt like it was shutting down, his mind foggy from fatigue. But still he pushed through, determined not to fail. Then there was the bullying. David had been warned about it, but he didn't expect it to be so brutal. Older recruits, seeing him as fresh meat, tried to break him down. One afternoon, during a tough drill, a group of them cornered him, pushing him to the ground and calling him weak. It wasn't just physical. They attacked his spirit, trying to make him doubt himself. David, bruised and tired, stood back up every time. He didn't fight back. He didn't need to. He knew that real strength wasn't about throwing punches. It was about standing your ground. Eventually, the bullying stopped. His determination earned their respect. Training was relentless. The strength testing exercises were like nothing David had ever experienced. There were times when his body felt like it was about to break, but somehow, he always found the strength to continue. He had to. Failure wasn't an option, and quitting was never in his vocabulary. The toughest exercise involved carrying heavy equipment up a steep hill, with the sun beating down on them, only to crawl back down through a muddy trench under barbed wire. Every muscle in his body screamed, but David's will was stronger than the pain. There was another side to training, one that tested their psychological limits. Instructors would create high-pressure scenarios, forcing them to make life-or-death decisions. David had to learn how to stay calm under fire, both literally and figuratively. He had to figure out how to lead, how to inspire, and how to remain level-headed when everything around him was chaotic. One simulation was particularly tough. They had to choose between saving a teammate or completing the mission. It wasn't real, but the weight of the decision felt real, and it stuck with David. It taught him that being a soldier meant being ready for anything: sacrifice, hard decisions, and sometimes heartbreak. At night, after hours of brutal training, the recruits would gather in the mess hall for dinner. It was one of the few moments of peace in their day. The food was simple. Sometimes it was just a bowl of soup or some bread. But after a long day, it tasted like the best meal David had ever had. As they sat together, eating, they would share stories, laugh, and for a moment, forget the pain and exhaustion. David often thought of his father during these moments, imagining him sitting in a similar mess hall years ago, surrounded by his fellow soldiers. Those moments of camaraderie kept him going. But not everyone made it through the training. Mark, one of David's closest friends, had to drop out after his mother passed away. Mark had been a strong recruit, but with his family struggling financially, he couldn't afford to stay. David felt a deep sadness as he watched Mark pack his things and leave the academy. They had started this journey together, but now David had to continue alone. Then there was Steve, another friend who had been with David since the beginning. Steve was one of the best in their group, smart, strong, and determined. But one day, during a live drill, tragedy struck. Steve was involved in an accident. He lost his eyesight and a few fingers in an explosion. It was devastating. Steve's dreams of becoming a soldier were over, but the army didn't abandon him. They gave him a new role as a chef in the training camp. Steve embraced it with pride, cooking meals for the very recruits he once trained alongside. Later, Steve was given the chance to complete a paramilitary course in intelligence analysis, and soon, he was working for the military in a different capacity, proving that even after tragedy, there was a way to serve. David often thought about Mark and Steve during the quiet moments, and their stories reminded him of how fragile the journey could be. But he pressed on. Every day, every struggle, every victory brought him closer to his goal. After months of pain, sacrifice, and relentless effort, David finally graduated. The day he stood on that stage, receiving his certificate, was the proudest day of his life. His father stood in the audience, tears in his eyes, beaming with pride. David had made it. All the pain, all the sacrifices, it had all been worth it. David's career didn't stop at graduation. He went on to serve in multiple military operations. His bravery and quick thinking in the field earned him respect from his superiors and his peers. Whether it was leading a rescue mission in enemy territory or securing a vital location, David always remained calm under pressure. His success earned him promotions. He became a captain, then a commander, a major, and finally he reached the rank of Major General. His leadership, courage, and loyalty to his men made him one of the most respected officers in the military. David's personal life flourished too. He met a wonderful woman, and they married, building a beautiful life together with their children. Despite his busy career, David always made time for his family. He was not only a strong leader on the battlefield, but also a loving husband and father at home. Now, many years later, David's son is ready to join the military. As David watches his son prepare for his own journey, he feels a sense of pride and nostalgia. Memories of his days in the academy flood back. The long nights, the hard training, the friends he lost, and the encouragement he received from his father. David sits down with his son, just as his father once did, and tells him the same words that carried him through the toughest days. A soldier never quits. David's story is a reminder to all young soldiers, and to anyone thinking of joining the military, that life is about endurance, patience, love, and compassion. The road may be tough, but the reward is great for those who stand up to defend their country. David's journey from a young recruit to Major General shows that with hard work, courage, and heart, anything is possible. To all the young men and women out there considering a career in the military, remember: be strong, be patient, be brave. The journey may be hard, but the reward is worth every step. And for those already on the journey, never give up. You are stronger than you think.
Hello guys, if you're still watching up to this extent, we'd like you to go and like, comment and share, and hit the notification button to get notified when we drop the next video. Thank you guys.
As David's story comes to a close, we are left with a feeling of fulfillment and motivation. His story teaches us that no matter how difficult the path, with perseverance, you can rise to greatness. So, if you've been inspired by David's journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join us as we continue to share the stories of those who have sacrificed, endured, and achieved. And remember, the best is yet to come.